Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Hello, this is Patty Hunter and my show Patty's Page. Today my guest is Thomas Weller. He is a famous Canadian photographer who is known to take pictures from all over the world. Hello, Thomas.
Hi, Patty. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing smashingly good. How about yourself, Goo?
I'm fantastic.
I know
Thanks
you
for
are.
having me.
I know. So, you're from Canada, eh?
I am from Canada, eh?
Yeah,
What's up with that?
What's up with that, man? Woo, loser. Where were you born then?
I was born in Newmarket.
Newmarket.
Just outside of Toronto, yeah.
That's near Orangeville, right?
Yeah, up by Orangeville. Yeah, just outside of Toronto, north of Toronto there. Yeah.
My husband, his family lived in Shelburne for several years.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice
that's
there.
not too far, eh? Going up the
I
hill.
have a few friends up that way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's cool. You what profession were your parents and grandparents? You were telling me the other day what they had done with their...
Boy, yes. Yeah, my parents, both of my parents were avid in the newspaper business when I was very young.
Newspaper?
But going back,
Oh,
yeah, but going back actually a little bit further back than that, my grandparents on my mother's side were both not professional photographers, but they were, they were hobbyists. They liked to go around Niagara Falls and take photos around the area, and they entered into a lot of contests and won first prize many times, and a lot of local contests and whatnot. So, and of course, they worked with the old 35 millimeter cameras, like the film cameras back then, and they didn't have digital, right? So, so I grew up with that around me, and a little bit of that influence, and then both my mother and my father in my early years. My father was an editor at a newspaper in Alliston called the Alliston Herald, Alliston, Ontario.
Guess what?
And my mother was a reporter and photographer for the same newspaper.
You know what my mom was? She was news editor for in Saskatchewan.
Oh, wow.
At a newspaper, I forget the name. But I tell you, Monty Hall, he was the clerk that worked under my mom.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Small world.
That's excellent. Yeah.
He's still around, eh? I think so.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is still, yeah. But yeah, I had a lot of that influence as a child, and I was even put in front of my mother's and my father's camera many times, and put into the newspaper many times, and even as a young child, I was sort of brought up around that. And then my mother got out of photography. My parents actually divorced when I was young. And
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, that's okay. That happens in lots of families. But my mother and I then moved from where we were living in Tottenham, Ontario. My mother and I moved when I was 7 years old down to Niagara Falls.
Oh, Niagara Falls.
Yes, and that's where I grew up until the age of 18.
Yeah.
And then I moved out of home and wanted to explore the world a little bit. I didn't go very far. I mean, I went a little bit north. I went to Barrie for 7 years, Barrie, Ontario, just north of Toronto, and then I lived there for 7 years, and then I moved over to Owen Sound for 3 years, and then I've been back in the Niagara area since 2003. So
you're not going to move again, are you now?
Well, I mean, I'll go where my job takes me, where my career takes me, of
But
course.
that's your home base.
Yeah, it's my home base here in Niagara. I like it here, but I mean, I have a passport. I can travel. I can go anywhere. So yeah.
So you're
I like
following
it here.
you're following your parents' footsteps in photography or whatever.
Further than their footsteps.
Oh, what are you doing? Okay, tell me about it. What genre of photography did you start with?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started with nature photography when I was in the later years of living in Barrie. I used to go out and explore the nature side of things, and even when I moved up to Owen Sound, that's when I really got heavy into photographing nature.
Wow.
I was an avid hiker, and I mean, I still like the outdoors. I still love the outdoors, but I'm a little bit more restricted with time, of course. But even when I was in Owen Sound, I would go and explore the waterfalls and the northern Bruce Peninsula and up to Tobermory and the Bruce Peninsula National Park, and I'd even drive all the way back over to Algonquin Park, and I spent a lot of time there as well. Yeah, and I photographed a lot of nature photography back in those years. So, and I had a lot of people, a lot of friends, even people outside of my friend circles, people I didn't even know, stating to me, hey, you really should make a career of this. You have a really good eye. So I picked up my first digital camera, I would say 2006 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm forgetting the years now, but yeah, I picked it up maybe a little bit before that. Maybe even in 2005, I picked up my first digital camera, and then I moved from film because for many years I was working with the film cameras, and they were actually, in fact, my grandparents' old cameras from back in the 60s.
So
I was using, and I was also using my mother and my father's cameras from the newspaper days for many, many years to shoot all of my nature photography, actually.
have you ever used a Brownie?
I haven't, no, but I mean, I've held them many times, but I haven't used one for photos, no.
Oh, I have got one of those. It's the 1940s, eh? I wasn't born then.
Oh, yeah, they're a lovely camera. Yeah, they definitely have a different look to them for sure, and different feel, and even a different feel with the post production. But even these days, in post production, it's a lot more fun. You can look at your photos as you go, and you can change your settings up and change your lighting, your angles up a little bit quicker when you can see the photos on your digital camera.
So what kind of photography are you into now? I mean, are you doing people, events, or what?
Yes, yeah, I mean, lots of it. I do it all. Like, I specialize in photography. I don't like to say that I specialize in any certain genre. I love all kinds of photography. For many years, as I was stating before, that I shot a lot of nature photography. I still do that from time to time in my off times. But I moved from nature photography to my professional business in 2009.
And what's that?
I registered my business in 2009, and I opened my studio within a year after that.
What's it called?
I had a storefront studio called Weller Photography Studio in St. Catharines.
Yeah.
And I had that going for about a year or so, but I still felt really, sort of confined with the four walls. I'm an artist, not just a businessman, so I wanted to get out and about and do a lot more than just sit in my studio.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, now to go back on that question, I mean, I shoot weddings, engagements, models, musicians, bands.
Bands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite that you have?
Oh boy, I don't know if I have a certain favorite. I've worked with so many. I have a huge list of bands that I've worked with.
Oh wait, how many
bands.
do you have? How many have you?
Well, I mean, I can't really count how many I've worked with because it's been since 2008, 2009 that I've been doing that, working more with the public. But even back then, I was working as a media photographer and for the Niagara Falls Review, as well as the St. Catharines Standard, the Welland Tribune, Snap Magazine. I worked for all of those. And I had a media pass for each, and I would go into all the events and shoot the events, such as any of the concerts in the park or any of the concerts that were happening in the local area. I was actually dubbed the rock and roll photographer of Niagara.
Yeah.
I don't know, back in 2009, 2010, because of all the bands I was shooting. But some of my favorites, I guess to go back on that, I mean, I really loved working with Styx. They were fantastic to work with. I would say one of my favorite musicians to work with would definitely be Lawrence Gowan.
Yes.
I did quite a bit of work with Lawrence Gowan, actually. When he came to Niagara in 2010, he did his 25-year reunion for
Strange Animal.
Strange Animal. That's right. And so he invited me to shoot that up at the Fallsview Casino, and we did the dress rehearsal. So it was great. There wasn't a crowd there. There wasn't anyone sort of in my way, or I wasn't in their way, you know. And I had full 360 access on the stage, and they even shared the stage with him, and just 2 feet away from me, pointing at my camera and working my camera with me, and we worked very well together. I really enjoyed working with Larry. That was great.
He's nice. I met him in the 80s.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
He had the long mullet. He was sweet.
He's always had some pretty cool hair on his head, for sure.
he was one of the sweetest persons I've ever met, and he treated me royally, you know.
That's good. That's good. He was always just a gentleman, you know. I mean, he was very nice to me all the time whenever we worked together. And again, I worked with him on the second year that he would return to Strange Animal. And then that same year, he came to Niagara Falls with Styx, and I worked with him then. So
I met Styx, meet and greet, in 2007 in Nashville. That's how I met Larry again. So that was pretty good.
You met him twice.
I met him more than that.
Oh, wow.
I had done his company, helped his company in certain things, and he had thanked me later on with T-shirts and CDs and all. I understand you do singing. You sing?
I do.
Aha.
I do. That's a bit of a hidden gem. Not many people know it and know that I do. I mean,
they do now.
I mean, my friends know, and I mean, and then over the last few months since I've been releasing a little bit of that online and on Facebook, people are a little bit more surprised. They're really surprised to hear that I have that side of me as well. That started when I was a child. My parents put me into, choir in church when I was very young, and even in public school and elementary school, I was in singing, and also through high school I was in a few plays and singing in there as well. And then in later years, I've always sang in the shower like anybody else, I guess, but in later years I took an actual a cappella class at Niagara College.
Oh, yeah.
In St. Catharines.
All right. St. Catharines,
yeah. I believe that was in grade. I think that was in 2010, I believe.
That's 3 years ago, eh?
Yeah, I took that a cappella class, and I haven't done anything with the a cappella since, but I do play guitar. I play an acoustic guitar, and I sing. I write my own music.
Yeah.
Of course, I play some covers here and there, but I've always been told by friends and people outside of my circles that I do much better when I sing my own songs.
Yes.
I own them, right? So.
Sure, and you sing them the way they want to be sung, not doing a cover, and you're not sure what.
Yeah, I mean, like it's always good to own your own thing. You know, just like I do with my own photography. I don't copy anyone else's photography. I go out and
just
shoot
do
my
your
own
own
angles.
thing. Yeah, that's cool.
I do my own thing, and especially with my music and my photography. Anything to do with my art, I do my thing. I don't really follow the pack, and I wouldn't consider myself a leader of the pack either. I don't put myself up there, but I just do my thing, and that gets me noticed. But with my music, I'm working on my 6th song now.
You gonna have an EP?
I've released one song on YouTube. I haven't recorded any of these yet really professionally. I do have a few friends that keep wanting me to get out, but unfortunately, again, that comes down to timing and how much time I have to put into that. But I would like to go a little bit further with that over the next year, for sure.
Make an EP or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. Send it out to some friends and whatnot. And I have friends in the recording industry and a lot of friends in the music industry, so I could always, sort of slip them the EP and say, hey, what do you think? You never know.
We done acting, haven't we?
I have a little bit here and there, for sure, through the years. Again, that started when I was young and plays in schools and whatnot that I went in.
But how about movies?
Well, I was in a short film. I was asked about a year and a half ago to be the director of photography for a short film that was being written and produced here in Falls. And it was a film called Gotham Rising.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, in fact, if you go to www.gothamrising.com, you can view the short film. It was mainly just a pitch. The director of the movie knew a few people in the movie industry, and I know a few people in the movie industry. So we wanted to pitch this to them and see what they thought of it, and they loved it. So we're going to see where it goes from there. We just released it in January. It's actually, we're still all very excited about it still. Between all of our, in our off times and between our jobs and whatnot, we did this film, and it's just
awesome.
The better part of last year. I would say the better part of last year to complete, and we ended up with a 7.5-minute movie. And it's not very long, but it's just sort of like a synopsis of what could be a larger version of the movie.
And you just wet your feet getting into it.
Yeah. I mean, I had a great time with it. I had a lot of fun times with it, and I was also asked to act in it. I did have a small part where I played the part of a businessman, and there was quite an epic death scene in there. I had to die on camera.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
It was, because I got electrocuted and then I was drowned.
Oh, lovely.
I was drowned in a bucket of sort of like this nuclear type waste.
If that doesn't get you in, something else will.
Yeah, exactly. So
one way or
the other.
Interesting.
And that could lead to a lot of things. It was a great crew. I really enjoyed working with those guys. The director of that is a friend of mine, Trevor Lackus, and he's got a lot of good scripts going. And he actually just called me today, and he's thinking of having me star in one of his newer films that he would like to write for the next year, and he wants me to star in that. So I'm pretty excited about that possibility.
Now, one of your pictures, the Wallendas, is that what it is?
Wallendas, yeah, Nick Wallenda, yeah.
He went over the.
Did you see that?
I'll be showing that later, but the picture of the Wallendas, what's his first name?
Nick Wallenda.
Nick. He crossed over the Niagara Falls with just what do you call that thing that balances that? What is it? Stick, whatever.
Well, the balance beam.
Balance beam, yeah.
I believe that's called, yeah.
Did they have
Maybe
to?
Wrong, but
did they have to wire him up so he would, if he fell, they would catch him?
I believe it has. I don't know the entire story behind it. Like I know he was harnessed to the actual tightrope. I don't really know a whole lot of the story behind that. So but I know he was harnessed. But regardless, he still crossed that, and that hasn't been done in how long? And
many moons.
That was fantastic to watch. That was really neat.
What year was that?
That was last year. That was last
year?
summer that he did that. Yeah.
Oh my stars! I haven't seen that.
Time flies.
Oh wow. Well,
it was a fun event, and I got a really cool capture of it. I didn't have a media pass that evening. In fact, I was invited that night to attend a party and spend some good times with some friends, including my very good friend Rita Carey, who invited me up there. And Rita Carey is actually Jim Carrey, the movie star.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Carrey's sister, and she's local in Niagara Falls, and she invited me up to party with her to. I think we're on the 22nd or the 23rd floor of the Embassy Suites, and we were overlooking the falls. We had a fantastic bird's eye view of this event, And, I didn't have that media access where I was up there with all the other photographers fighting for the best spot. I had a really neat sort of view on it, and it was a very different sort of view. And I captured it, and it looks just like the original old photos from the 1800s when the original typeovers went across.
My stars. I mean,
Yeah,
I saw
really
that.
shot.
I saw that picture. I just fell in love with it. I'll be showing that anytime now. So,
Please do.
oh yeah. You have done some modeling in the past? Well, who
I have
for?
done some modeling. Yeah, I have. I've not for any big name photographers or anything like that. I've actually modeled for my own camera to see what it's like to be in front of the camera. I've also modeled for some friends and whatnot that have gotten into photography that want to sort of use me to help build their portfolios. But I'm not shy in front of the camera.
I know you're not shy at all.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Were you shy when you were a kid?
Yes.
Me
yes,
too.
Extremely shy. Yeah.
If anyone looked at me a certain way, I would turn beet red, But now I'm not afraid of anybody, Well, not yet.
No,
anyway.
You can't be shy. Well, I mean, some people can be shy. That's fine. But in my profession, I can't be shy. I have to get right in there and get the best shot, and also talk to people and get to know people and have them get to know me and get to know what I do and whatnot. So there's no room for me to be shy anymore. But for sure, when I was a child, those were tough times. I was extremely shy, and people liked me, sure, but I was just very shy and very quiet. People still remember me as little Tommy, the shy one.
Oh.
And yeah.
So, acting and modeling, was it volunteer, or did you get paid for it, or?
Well, I mean, there isn't always pay. Sometimes there has to be a scratch back, and some scratch backs in business are very good because especially when it's a win-win situation. And I'll really only do a scratch back deal when there's a win-win situation in the end.
True.
Just because it's not because of I don't want to do it. It's because of my time, and my time is precious because I have a lot of things on the go, right? So with that said, was I paid for the modeling? No. Was I paid for the acting? No, not yet.
No, yeah.
Would I like to be paid? Absolutely.
That would be
so
nice.
That's why I continue. And that's why I continue to do it, and that's why I continue to push it, so I maybe can get some big deals in the future.
You got to send me an MP of your music that when you finish it. I want to listen to them.
Oh, my music?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll for sure send you a copy of that. Again, if you go on YouTube, and I'll tell the listeners here that if you go on YouTube and if you Google, or not Google, if you go on YouTube and just search In Your Arms I Lie by Thomas Weller, even if you look up In Your Arms I Lie, Thomas Weller, it'll bring it up.
Okay.
You can also YouTube the movie that I helped to produce and direct and all that for this past year, Gotham Rising. If you look that up on YouTube, you can look it up on there for sure.
Well, definitely, I will look it up. Listen, what are your future plans for Weller Photography?
My future plans for Weller Photography. Well, Weller Photography has been around for a few years now, and I want it to continue. I want to continue being a photographer, and I want to just continue, pushing it out there. I'm very big on, sort of rising above. Niagara Falls is great. I love it here, but I feel sometimes it is a little bit limited to what I can do, and even where my talents lie.
Right.
So I would like my talents to get out there. I want my name worldwide. I've gotten out there worldwide for sure a few times. I do have I've worked with some musicians that have pushed my stuff a little bit more worldwide than just local, which has been great. I have a CD cover, actually, an album cover with the famed musician Willie Nile.
Oh, yes.
He's very good friends with Bruce Springsteen and the likes of Bono and Sting and those guys. And Willie Nile was in town, I believe, in 2009, 2010 for Light of Day in Niagara. And I befriended him there. We were hanging out backstage, and he says, "Hey, listen, can you get up on stage and get a shot of me, of me looking towards the light and towards the crowd, and sort of shoot right from behind me?" And so I did, and I got a fantastic photo of him sort of, strumming his guitar for the crowd. It's a real rock and roll type shot, and it's just an epic shot. And he used that for his album cover, and he paid me, and he paid me quite well for that, which is great.
Hey, listen.
And and that went on his album cover for the Innocent Ones. If you look that up, Willie Nile, the Innocent Ones, and that's my album cover. So
well,
like
listen.
a silhouette type shot. Yeah.
Well, listen, old chap. It's almost time for me to say goodbye.
Oh, that's okay.
We should have you on my show again. You should come down here, man.
I would love to. I'll take a drive for sure. You invite me the next time, and I'll give me a little bit more heads up, and I'll take a drive down there for sure.
Thank you, Thomas Weller, and thank you, people, for coming to be in the audience of my show. And this is Patty's Page with Patty Hunter. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye, Tom.
Thanks, Patty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.